Thanks for staying with us for Settle the Score Friday, and we're settling the score and every vote counts. The Riverton endgame: close the dump or move the people? Here's what some of you had to say.
Move the dump, but where? If you move the dump, where do you put it?
I think them should have moved the people still, because the dump they did before the people them still. You understand? Because remember say yo, when they have a dump, you know, anything can happen, like fire, and you know sometimes some things happen, and they disease and them little thing there, so you don't want people them fall for go reach by the dump there.
The dump should have moved if so be the case, and the people live, because the area can be a living area, you know, for the people, you understand? Because the dump can find somewhere to go, but the people, you can't push people back.
I think the dump should be moved because we don't have enough resources for the people to move. There's more people. The space for the people is more than the space for the dump.
You say if you move the dump, the people them still go vex. And you say if you move the people them still go vex. So I think the people them should have moved. Yeah, and lower the dump. Where them move the dump and go again? Go trouble other people, make the dump stay.
All right, interesting perspectives there coming from our friends on the streets of the corporate area earlier today. You now have your chance to have your say. Text in your answer: close dump or move people, to 810-6730. Or you may send your responses via BlackBerry Messenger or PIN 270B55D1. Let's hear now what Scott Jones has to contribute to this debate. Mr. Jones currently works in Riverton and is the communications manager at the One Jamaica Recycling Group. Scott, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Okay. You've been doing business in Riverton for how long now?
The company has been in operation for 2 years now.
Mm-hmm. And this is a recycling company?
Yes.
That would, of course, feed heavily on the waste that comes from the dump?
Yes, they are, the people of Riverton City are our primary customers, suppliers.
Mm-hmm. And how much of a resource do they see the next door dump?
They see it as a livelihood.
Mm. How much so? I mean, how much so do they depend on it? We have about, the last estimate, we were told about 6,000 residents, but in terms of the dependency community-wide, what percentage could you say?
Well, I can say that from a supplier standpoint, we have approximately 45 or 50 people who have a full-time job in supplying us plastic, and that's all they do.
So they source the plastic from the dump by what means? Plastic that's already separated coming into the dump, or they go at certain areas of the dump to forage for the plastic?
They go and find the plastic.
And this is a livelihood for them, huh?
Yes, they put their children through schools, universities, so on.
Meaningful employment?
Yes.
They've opened businesses, or they simply just supply your business?
They have opened businesses as well. There's almost mini supply points going on in Riverton now.
How do they feel about the current, medium, and long-term management of the dump?
Well, I believe that a lot of them see the dump as a livelihood, and there's nothing wrong with that. With landfills right around the world, it creates a lot of employment for people, and with public and private partnership, it can be profitable for all.
So, but it's a rather informal structure that you have there now?
That we have?
Yes.
We being...
Riverton. You mean, I mean between the residents supplying you, not being able to get the plastics separated, but instead have to go on the dump and do the separation themselves.
Right. Well, we don't.
Still somewhat informal.
Well, not from our perspective, because we do not control the dump.
I mean, in terms of your supply.
Our supply is constant.
So the situation as it is now, especially when we had the fire some weeks ago.
Yes.
How did the residents react to all of that? Clearly it would have affected their livelihood, but also their health.
Right. Well, I mean, what you have to understand is that it's unhealthy to live near the dump, regardless of it being on fire or not.
And they understand that?
Yes, they do.
But you were going on to say?
I was going on to say that you were asking how the fire would have affected us.
Yes.
And actually, there was actually an increase in supply of the plastic when the fire went on, because the residents didn't want the plastic to burn into the atmosphere.
Oh, so they went for the plastics themselves and would supply you?
Yes.
What do you do with the plastic? You export?
Yes, we crush, perforate, and heat the plastics into bales, which are 3 foot by 4 foot, obviously three-dimensional cubes of plastic, which weigh 550 pounds. We put 56 of those into a 40-foot container,
Yes.
and we export it to Chile, Malaysia, Singapore, and China.
It's big business for you, isn't it?
At this stage, we're burgeoning. We created our own industry.
Like the scrap metal industry was created a good 10, 15 years ago. You're now entering the plastics industry.
Well, we're entering the environmental industry.
Help me with the distinction.
Well, the distinction is that plastic is very harmful for the environment, and we're not only seeking to do plastic alone. We're trying to actually clean up Jamaica in its entirety. It's an environmental front, but a lot of people don't understand that you can actually be an environmentalist and still operate a profitable business.
Is that the perspective from which residents in Riverton take it, especially where supplying your business is concerned? Do they see themselves as partaking in protecting the environment, or merely the fact of them living on the margins makes it necessary for them to forage for plastic to supply you?
Well, I don't think that the two are mutually exclusive. The residents of Riverton City are very resilient and very smart people. And a lot of them do it, yes, in order to send their kids to school and so on, but a lot of them really love Jamaica and love the environment and know that plastic is harmful for the environment. Some people in Riverton actually come and give us plastic for free.
Oh, yeah?
From their own residential collection.
Yes.
Because they believe that everybody has their part to do in cleaning up the environment.
Okay. All right, and you can continue to vote to move the dump or to allow the people to live there. Keep texting 810-6730, close dump or move people. Text those words depending on where your opinion lies. Now, okay, we'll take the break and we'll come back in a moment more on this conversation. Tonight, as we always do on a Friday evening, we settle the score. In focus, the Riverton end game. Close the dump or move the people? Responses have been pouring in on our Facebook page. Let's share some of them with you now. And our Facebook friends have been weighing in on the question. Davian Jones says, none of the above. Manage it better. Patrice Brissett says, move the people, the dump was there before them. Ashana Dawkins says, if it's affordable, move them, because if the dump is closed, where will the garbage go? And O'Dane Spence says, when they move the people, where would they go? What would they eat? It's best if they move the garbage instead of the people. Kerry Ann Hill says, if you move the people from Riverton City, it would cost the government millions of dollars. They would have to provide land for the people. It's better to put a better system to dump solid waste. All right, thanks very much to our Facebook friends. Your vote counts, so keep texting your answer, close dump, or move people to 810-6730, or send your response via BlackBerry Messenger, 270-B55D1. Scott Jones is still with us.
Yes.
You started business, you say, in Riverton about 2 years ago, and we should tell you, our viewers, that we did try to get residents of Riverton City to join us here on Live at 7 for this Settle the Score issue. It was not easy at all. Most residents preferred not to speak on camera where the matter is concerned. But you, of course, have been around the residents for a good 2 years now. You say you've opened up business there.
Yes, the company's presence.
Challenges of being in Riverton City that you've had since being there?
Well, we haven't had much challenges in terms of the location of Riverton City. Awkwardly, it's a very inspiring place in that the people's resilience is such that there's so many people in Riverton City who have achieved much more than I have from a lot less.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
You're an accomplished lawyer about to be
No,
called.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm a barrister. at law.
Okay. Yes, you're a very well accomplished man. You studied where?
I did a first degree in communication studies
Oh.
at Furman University in Greenville, South Carolina, Go Paladins. And then I did a law degree in the Cayman Islands, University of Liverpool. And then I went and sat the bar in London at BPP Law School.
Yes.
And I was called to the bar in October by the Honorable Society of the Inner Temple.
Okay. So, when you say that people there are more accomplished than you, what do you mean?
Well, accomplishments aren't made by pieces of paper that you walk across a stage, you know what I mean? Accomplishments can have relativity to them in terms of where you're from, where you start from, and you know what I mean, where you started in the race versus
Yes.
people who have head starts against you.
Despite circumstance then.
Despite circumstance, but I'm telling you that there are people in Riverton City whose bank account is bigger than mine,
Oh.
and I don't have a very big one.
How so?
How so?
Yes.
From being industrious and resilient. The people down there are awesome.
Yes. But there are some challenges though. There are some municipal challenges where the location of the dump is concerned and the fact of people living in close proximity to the dump. We saw what happened recently with the fire on the dump. We saw how many persons got sick. I spoke with 2 persons from Seaview Gardens this morning. They and their children, their entire family have been visiting the doctor over the past 2 weeks, racking up thousands of dollars in medical bills. Certainly
Elon.
the people of Riverton must be so exposed as well.
Elon, I got sick. You're talking first-hand experience. I don't
Yes.
sit down from my office, right? Just a little bit about my background. I'm born and raised in Cherry Gardens. I've never had to worry about where my next meal was going to come from. Having said that, my mother was a philanthropist, starting the Fort Augusta female prison ministry until her passing. Now, having said all of that, I'm in it to help some people as well.
Yes.
I'd love to help some people. Now, you want to talk about the challenges that we face down there. It has nothing to do with the geographic location. Let's talk about the solution, because a lot of issues in Jamaica.
But it does have something to do with the geographic location. Here's a dump in the western portion of the city, the industrial belt of the city, that when it goes on fire, causes businesses along that belt to be closed. We saw the case of Ray and Nevy and several other businesses along that section of Spanish Town Road having to close because of the smoke nuisance.